Running a CDL school has a lot of challenges, especially if you're the one who's running a particular range. Let's say you have 15 students. At least two or three of them are going to have some issues on retaining the information. And it's like banging your head against a wall. But that's a challenge I like as an instructor, because I get a lot of satisfaction when I can get that person across the finish line. I had students, one student was deaf. He can hear a little bit. And finally, when I got him to learn how to straight line back, how to back on angles, I got myself on the ground and I pointed up. It was a challenge. It took me 2 weeks to get him to learn how to back up. And he passed on the first time. Another student was pretty bad on backing and all the skills. And when a recruiter came in and everyone had to go to the classroom to listen to the recruiter, this student says, "Mr. Steve, are you going up to the classroom?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, can you stay back and help me out?" I said, "Why?" He said, what's good is it going to do me to go up to the classroom and listen to the recruiter when I can't even back up? How am I going to get a job? Can't back up. So we worked. So it was one-on-one. So while they were listening to the recruiter, I was teaching him skills, backing skills, pre-trip skills, etc., one-on-one. And there's several recruiters that came in, and every time one came in, I worked with him. He went from the bottom of the class to the top, almost to the top of the class. He was good, passed on the first try. Then there's Lisa. You see the videos that I put out about Lisa. She came in because her husband passed away, and she wanted to complete his dream of becoming a tractor-trailer driver. So she went to school. And I didn't think there's no way in the world she's going to do it. But what happened, she had mentors, students who gave their time. They worked through lunch break. Instead of going to lunch, they stayed with her. And she stayed 8 hours on that range learning and learning until she got it. And the final day of the day before her test, I worked with her for maybe an hour or two on the reverse offset or a parallel park, and she got it. And he passed on the first try. Look at the video. You'll see that video. It's Lisa. And there's about determination, the desire to get the job done. I would, if a student had trouble with air brake leak test, how far do you have to drive from home to school? Oh, it takes me 30 minutes. And back? 30 minutes. Okay. I want you to learn 2 parts. There's like 4 parts of the air brake leak test. I want you to learn 2 on the way down. Turn your radio off or put your cell phone on and maybe record the first 2 parts of the air brake leak test. I want you to recite it over and over and over again on your way to the CDL school. And when you go back, do the next 2. Do this for a few days. Okay? Hopefully that student will retain it. Every morning when I started the class, instead of a pledge allegiance, we had we recited the air brake leak test every single day. So I would go over the part of it and let the students finish it up. I might point to one student, you finish it up, I'll start the next part, leave the ending off, the critical part, and that student will finish it up. So they all know, oh my goodness, I better learn this because I don't like to be called on and don't know the answer. So we stuck it in their head. We put it in their head. Eventually, all my students learned it. Plus, we had practice tests. Run through a practice test. Okay? Another suggestion is I knew as an instructor, I kept records, I had a board, and the students knew, and I knew where they stood on their CDL journey during that range. If they saw they had a 3 and they needed to get to a 4, well, they didn't want to see that 3, and everybody else said, so-and-so's a 3. Well, they worked hard, came over to me and says, I'm ready to be tested, and I know how to do a parallel park, I know how to do reverse offset, etc., and I know my air brake lead test. Please run me through a couple tests for the next couple days to make sure, and I'll do it. And he says, can I come in the office and change on the big board my number from a 3 to a 4? If they got a 5, that means they're highly proficient in any particular skill. Instructors need to know where each student is. So if it's a 6-week course, let's say 6, so you in week number 3, hopefully you may assign one instructor to be a pre-trip instructor. So his whole day will be working with the 2 or 3 students that need work on the air brake leak test or any part of the pre-trip. Okay? So I particularly had a good instructor. He wasn't strong on the skills, but teaching pre-trip air brake leak test, he was good. So that was his job. And very seldom do we have anyone fail on the range. They passed the pre-trip, passed the range skills. If they should fail, they failed on the road, never on the range. They were ready. We made sure they were ready. Had another instructor, same thing, who was very good on parallel parking at the time and the reverse offset, and he worked with those particular students who needed help in that area. Find a student within your class who's really, really good at the air brake leak test. So you might not have enough instructors. Don't put him with someone who is not proficient in that part of the test. Now, if you have someone willing to help, great. Let that student work with be his mentor, a student mentor who helps that particular student. Sometimes you don't have all the help in the world. You have to rely on one of your top students in your class. Don't put a student in who, if he doesn't know it, you don't want to put those two students together. Oh, you two work with. No. If a student is practicing range skills, if a student is having issues, I don't want any other student in that tractor with that particular student. I need that student to think for himself. If he gets in trouble, he needs to think it through. I don't want no one in front. And I didn't want another instructor, turn the wheel to the left, turn the wheel to the right, do this, do that. That's wrong. In week number 1, okay. But in week number 3, no way. No way. I'll do another video about reverse offset parallel parking, things that you can do. Also, I used to have the little marching drill. So on one side of me and on the other side of me, we'll take a big walk, pretty good distance from one end of the range to the other end and back and forth. And I'll say, recite after me. The air brake lead test. I'm going to build up air pressure 2, and it'll complete to 120 psi's. And when you hear a little hiss, air compressor has cut off, and we add full pressure, 120 psi. However you word it. If your air brake lead test is too wordy, has a lot of words in there that's unnecessary, maybe for that particular student, try to cut some of those words out. As long as if it's going to pass, is what the examiner needs to hear, fine. Cut unnecessary words out of that particular student's pre-trip. Make it a little bit easier on them. Some students or write it down 100 times over and over, write it over and over and over, write it. But that's not for everybody. Just some do it. And after they write it 50, 60, 100 times, they usually have it. So that's not for everybody. Definitely not for me, but some do it, whatever it takes. So that's enough for this part of the video, and I would have a little attachment, or I'll just make a separate video because I think I'm up to about 10 minutes. Talk to you soon. See you on the next run, and study and practice, and you'll get it.